In this chapter, we will look at what the state says about teaching gifted and talented students. As a teacher of the gifted and talented students, you are responsible for ensuring that each student has the opportunity for self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication. These students must create innovative products and performances that reflect their individuality and creativity. These products must be advanced in relation to students of similar age, experience, or environment. As I am sure that you realize, this means that all students' projects should not be exactly alike. There will be different expectations in relation to the ability of the students. I like this part because it says advanced in relationship to students of similar age and experiences. That's a key factor when thinking about the curriculum that the children are going to do. For high school students, products should be of professional quality. To create this type of product, it may be helpful to find a mentor in the field that the student excels in and has special interest in, and allow the student to work with that mentor. Mentorship is also useful for younger grades. In our elementary school, we have a PALS program, and a lot of times the students who are placed with the PALS are the struggling students. But this is also an excellent opportunity to pair up a high school student with a gifted student to help advance that student. If this child is supposed to be working on individual research, a high school PAL could help the child with the research and be an ongoing project for both of them. So when we're thinking about mentorship, we need to think carefully about where we can find these mentors and how they can help us as we create a curriculum for our students that's appropriate to their academic needs. Texas has a state plan for what gifted education should look like. And in the next few slides, we're going to look at what the state plan actually says. Students must be given an array of opportunities based on his or her area of giftedness. The state also addresses the issue of grouping. Gifted students need to be put in groups in various different ways. At sometimes they need to be grouped for their learning opportunities. Sometimes they need to be grouped for socialization. Sometimes they need to move ahead when their learning outstrips curriculum. And at other times they need to be allowed to work independently to truly develop their talents. In our district, we have something we call cluster grouping. The state tells us we need to group them with other students who are also gifted. When we have the opportunity, we try to group these students in classes of 5 to 8. This allows for a peer group that can work together on various projects. The state also tells us that we need to have out-of-school options. In CCISD, these options may look like the debate team. It could be a math Olympics. It could be academic decathlon. It could be a robotics program, chess clubs. We also offer something called Duke Tips, which helps to provide extra enrichment for gifted kids through a program out of Duke University. The state also addresses pacing. Gifted kids learn at a much faster rate than your average student. They need much fewer repetitions. So teachers need to make sure that the pace of their lesson is appropriate for the student's ability. In most cases, children don't start out in school not paying attention in class. They quite likely come to kindergarten eager to learn and expand on what they already know. Unfortunately, what most of these children get in kindergarten is information they already know. For example, a 5-year-old who is already reading on a 3rd grade level will have to endure lessons on the letter of the week. Even if they aren't already reading or the information in the lesson is new to them, they learn faster than average children. Average children need 9 to 12 repetitions of a new concept in order to learn it. Bright children need 6 to 8 repetitions. But gifted children can learn new concepts after only 1 or 2 repetitions. Since the majority of students in a classroom are average students, classrooms tend to be geared toward their learning needs. That means, for example, that even if a gifted child starts kindergarten not knowing how to read, a full week spent on only 1 letter of the alphabet is unnecessary. The lessons can become frustrating and brain-numbing. Gifted children need plenty of intellectual stimulation, and if they don't get it from their teachers, they will often provide it for themselves. If lessons become mind-numbingly dull, a gifted child's mind will wander to more interesting thoughts. This article dealt with kids in elementary school, but this concept applies from elementary all the way through high school. And the sad thing is, in high school, the things that these kids sometimes turn to relieve the boredom are things that we don't want them to turn to. I've had quite a few of my former gifted students in high school turn to drugs, turn to other naughty behavior, let's say, that some of them got caught and got in trouble for. And a lot of times this is because they're bored. My daughter had one teacher who was telling the class that there was only one student in his class that ever could sleep through his class and still made an A. Well, when I heard that, my first thought is, then why is that student in your class? This was AP Calculus. It was a hard class, but this child already knew it. The child shouldn't have been in that class because clearly the pacing wasn't right for this child. Gifted students should be given an array of challenging learning experiences. Even gifted students who are achieving A's may be severely underachieving. The talent searches, which involve more than 150,000 junior high school students annually, demonstrates how this is possible. 7th and 8th grade students who are in the 95th percentile in mathematics and reading in grade level assessments are eligible to take the SAT or ACT as above level tests. These tests are designed for college-bound seniors and juniors. Some junior high school students score much higher on these assessments than other high school counterparts. In fact, some may score high enough to meet the entrance requirements for MIT or Stanford when they are only 12 years old. There are 12-year-olds who have attained scores of 780 or 800 on the SAT-M. When one of these students obtains an A in 7th grade mathematics, what does that A mean? Is the student sufficiently challenged? If this student has already mastered enough algebra and geometry to obtain a score comparable to that of a top high school senior, wouldn't the pre-algebra sequence be a waste of time, even if the student achieved all A's? For gifted students, achieving an A is not the goal. The real purpose of education is to learn new information. Students who achieve A's based on what they have already learned are gaining daily practice in underachievement. All students have the right to struggle. Struggling is essential to growth. It means that the student is stretching to attain new power in learning, and gifted students actually enjoy struggling to master new material. If they haven't been so pruned into grade getters that they are afraid of a challenge. Girls in particular are at risk for shunning challenges in favor of performing perfectly what they already know. Students must also be given the opportunity for independent research. Acceleration should be looked at in a case-by-case basis. However, students who have the academic need for acceleration should be accelerated. Many educators argue that socially it is not good to accelerate students. However, research does not support this. Julian Stanley says, "The research clearly shows that as a group, young entrants to college have been extremely successful academically and professionally and have not experienced significant social or emotional problems. There is no justification for assuming that academic difficulties or social and emotional adjustment problems are likely to accompany acceleration." The fact of the matter is that not accelerating students hurts them more. They do not fit in with their peer groups academically. Often they are bored and resort to behaviors that do not help them in life. This is the end to Chapter 2 about what the state says about the curriculum for gifted students.